the theoretical driving license test in Germany. The theoretical driving license test is intended to enable the examiner to determine whether the candidate possesses the necessary knowledge to be able to drive a motor vehicle responsibly and safely. This knowledge includes the candidate being familiar with the essential legal traffic regulations and being able to assess and cope with any road hazards which could occur. The candidate also has to demonstrate an understanding of basic mechanical and technical relationships, as well as knowing the rules and principles for an environmentally conscious and energy-saving driving. This film will show how the theory test is conducted and assessed. After the examiner has introduced themselves to the candidate, he will subsequently check the candidate's identity and inspect whether the candidate has completed the prescribed training content. The examiner will then assign the candidate to an individual examination desk. Afterwards, the candidate has to inspect the start screen of his examination desk to see whether the personal information, as well as the information for the exam, are correct. The candidate must switch off his mobile phone and any other electronic devices and confirm this in the program with one click before starting their driving test. The characteristics and features of vehicles can be very different. Does the vehicle have a manual gearbox or is it an automatic? Does it utilize a combustion engine or an electric drive? Which driver assistance system is it equipped with? The test system will always describe a so-called baseline vehicle for each driving license class. When completing the questions, the candidate should always be aware of the vehicle characteristics or features to which the questions relate. The candidate should already know this baseline vehicle from their test preparation. The candidate will be requested to enter his email address to ensure completely digital handling of the entire examination process. This will therefore make it possible to provide the exam result online. In the next step, the candidate can decide whether he would first like to have the essential program functions explained, or whether he would like to start working directly on the questions. Clicking on Start Tutorial will launch the interactive tutorial program. The candidate gets an explanation of the basic functions of the program, as well as of the different question formats. The candidate can skip the introduction at any time and switch to working on the examination questions. The candidate can start the actual exam by clicking on Start Exam. The driving test contains questions from the basic knowledge and the license class specific knowledge. In the first test for a driver's license, the part dealing with the basic knowledge contains more questions than when acquiring a driver's license for another subsequent class at a later date. The part with the class-specific questions includes a different number of questions depending on the driving license class which is required. For example, the first examination for acquire a Class B license consists of 30 questions, 20 of which are from the basic knowledge and 10 of which are from the additional knowledge for Class B. The candidate will be provided with sufficient time to answer the questions. The examination will utilize questions with different question formats which the candidate is familiar with from the examination preparation. For each question, the candidate can see how many faults the question is weighted. The weight of a question ranges between 2 and 5 faults, depending on the relevance of the question to road safety. A question will be considered as answered incorrectly when not every correct answer option has been marked, or an incorrect answer option has been marked, or a number that is asked for has not been entered or has been entered incorrectly. The candidate can request that the vehicle specifications for every question are shown again by clicking on the Baseline Vehicle button. The candidate is permitted to work through the questions in any order, return to questions which he has already worked on, and remember questions for later by clicking on the Mark button. The candidate can retain an overview at all times about the questions he has already answered by utilizing the navigation bar, also about how many questions are still to be answered and about which questions he has set a reminder mark. The candidate can always set a marker when he is not yet completely sure about a question and would like to reconsider later again. The candidate can finish the examination by clicking on the Submit button after he has answered all the questions. the candidate has to confirm their decision a second time to always be on the safe side. The candidate can view the examination result independently at his examination desk. The examination will be classified as passed when the candidate has not exceeded the permissible number of faults for his driver's license class. For example, the theory test is passed if the permissible number of faults is not exceed the sum of 10, and if at a maximum only one question with 5 faults is answered incorrectly. The questions are assigned to the corresponding subtopics, and the incorrectly completed questions will be marked in red in the overall overview of the examination valuation. The examiner can explain the errors to the candidate on request when the candidate has questions about them. In this question, the candidate did not put a cross on the third answer, which is also correct. The candidate receives the report relating to his performance after the evaluation has been concluded. The candidate should inform his driving school about the examination result so that the driving school is able to plan the next steps towards obtaining a driver's license. If despite good preparation beforehand, the candidate still fails the examination, then he can repeat it at the earliest after 2 weeks. The candidate should always therefore bear in mind that application for the driver's license will lose its validity for the theoretical driving license test 12 months after date of issue. The theoretical driving license test in Germany.